man, nothing like waiting until we're already a quarter into the year to give us what we've all been waiting for. But it's here, folks. The roadmap for Don't Starve Together heading into 2023. We've got short and sweet teases to chew on in typical Klei fashion. We have lovely art pieces in typical Klei fashion. And then we have a lot of questions, which is usually what happens when Klei gives us an update. But before we get to any of that, we might as well do what they did and give a little recap of what 2022 brought us. Yes, they wanted to set the stage, as they said from the start, and bloody heck, I believe they did just that, while also having the usual fun that they give us throughout the year, with the Year of the Cocoon, the Year of the Bunnyman, Midsummer Carnival, you name it. But yes, one of those year of events might sound quite familiar, as it only came out a few weeks ago. And that's because Klei's plans for 2022 definitely bled into 2023, and I don't think anything touches on that more than the Wilson refresh that is literally coming out tomorrow. But let's not forget the WX78 refresh that made him one of the most powerful automatons out there, Wickerbottom's rework, which gave her so many books that made her incredibly versatile, and of course, the Maxwell update that had about 9 updates to the update. It was insane, but he too is also incredibly versatile and as powerful as ever. Then of course we got the only two, count them, 2 content updates of the year in the Curse of Moonkey and A Little Drama, the former being a massive release that has changed the way we play the game in more ways than one, and the other just being a bit of an in-game lore dump that I wouldn't be surprised if you forgot about. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, the true setting the stage of 2022 in my opinion, the never-ending quality of life tweaks, hot fixes, balance changes, you name it. Seriously, it would be absolutely impossible to cover them all in one video. It's insane. But yes, I know, no one cares about last year at this point. They want to know what's coming in 2023. And thankfully, Klei gives us quite a lot to talk about. Straight off the bat, we have 3 content updates coming, and it's all dedicated to story. Trust me, we'll explain why. 2 core game enhancement updates, and no, these are not exactly quality of life updates, as they said. They are really going to go to the nitty gritty of the core game, so we can talk a lot about that. The usual events, a bite-sized crossover, and then a Don't Starve 10-year celebration, which technically should be April, but we'll see what they do. But people who actually read or are not just listening to my dumb voice have also probably noticed that the goal for this year is to smooth out the experience for less experienced players while providing longer-lasting endgame challenges for veteran players. Now, if you're like me, a statement like that could worry you, but Klei knows this, so they're doing a lot to tell us not to worry. Now, if you want to read this word for word, I will obviously be leaving a link to this post, so go for it. But all of this is essentially boiling down to no, they are not going to try to make the game easier or even harder. They just want to try to find a way to guide new players throughout it. But don't worry, veterans, they are not forgetting about us, because the end game loop side of all that is going to be diving deeper into the story surrounding Charlie and Wagstaff, while also exploring their actual impact on the Constant, meaning the Constant might be changing over time, and we finally might have to pick sides in this war. The whole topic of quote-unquote making the game easier for newer players that they're going on about now is just that. They want to introduce a couple things here and there, be it in-game and out, to just help new people understand what's happening in the early game so they can get better progress later, and they don't kind of just quit the game early on. Something that I'm sure we've all experienced, either ourselves or with our friends. Now, I totally get that, and I kind of welcome it, I suppose, but it also threatens my job, so I'm not really happy per se, and I'm also really confused about what the heck Klei is going on about with Wilson now acting as a guide through the progression of the game, because I gotta be honest, that might be the biggest BS statement of the year so far. But yes, before we start speculating and getting really excited about what we can see in some of these artworks up above, those core game enhancements are not necessarily quality of life updates as we said before, but they will be implementing systems and features that they can tweak over time that is going to be foundational to the game. So yes, somewhat quality of life, but a little bigger than that actually. But no. Screw all that for the time being, as it even sounds like Clay isn't entirely sure what they're talking about yet, or how they're gonna do it. So let's work with what they did give us, yes? They said that the next story arc, and thus these 3 content updates coming, as they're always tied 1-to-1, are gonna be heavily involving Charlie and Wagstaff, and the light and dark of both of those sides, and their impact on the world as a whole. Something that we have been brewing and seeing for years now, but it looks like it's all coming to a head. I mean, seriously, if this image doesn't tell you what's gonna be happening and maybe the potential to choose sides here, I don't know what will. Because there's literally 2 sides to this image. So given that, plus everything we've already been through and can do, as let's face it, the lunar side of this battle is showing its hand like crazy. We can already change the world dramatically with everything with Return of Them. What are these 3 content updates gonna be? Are we gonna take a break from the lunar side for a little bit until the absolute end when we deal with that new portal in the ancient archives? Are we finally gonna understand the consequences of killing the ancient fuel weaver and what happens with the ancient gateway? Is Charlie gonna be having way more of an impact on our day-to-day lives within the game with all of her chess moves that are coming? I truly don't know, folks, but before I give my hopes and dreams and all that, I will say this. I think it's both a long and short road ahead. I've been saying it for a while, but I believe the end of this game is coming. What else can we do once Charlie and Wagstaff have become so prominent? What else can we do now that they have returned and are literally openly sparring in a war against each other? It is the crescendo, as they say. But folks, it's here, as we said, the 2023 roadmap. And as usual, we don't have the specifics, but we have a lot to speculate on. I'm just excited that it's here. Like the ultimate culmination of everything that we've been going through with the moon and Charlie is here. And it really does sound like we're going to have a choice here. And the side we pick might actually legitimately impact the true ending of this game. I don't know how they're going to do it per se. Like if some people pick the lunar side and some pick the shadow side, what happens? Like what's canon, what isn't canon? I guess we just gotta wait and find out. But before we move on, those core enhancements, if they are indeed to be taken at face value and they are going to be adjusting some core things within the game, let's look at combat and maybe, just maybe, at cooking. I think if you do those 2 things and then what you want to do on top of that with these not quality of life but still quality of life updates, then yeah, I think the game's going to be in a great spot for the future because that's how I feel it. They're finally ready to, lay their baby to rest. And I'm sorry, but I have to throw this in at the end. No, Clay. You claiming that the Wilson rework is a good start for what you're thinking you're going to be doing with the helping of progression of newer players is atrocious and completely false. Completely false. And I hate that you're using the words properly that would help you understand how much better the Wilson rework could be in that regard while not actually doing it. You just gave us a skill tree. Here's the stuff. Choose your perks. Nope. You should have just had things happen progressively throughout the game as people learned it. And this is literally what you're talking about. Have people progress better through the early game by learning, and then once they get to the end game, they can realize, oh, there's all this progression too, and then they can start expanding on that. You literally say it in this frickin' post. You say all the words you need to help people understand what you're getting at and what you hope to accomplish in 2023, and yet you started it out in the worst way possible. Also, the skills are just garbage and help nobody progress because you just give the name of the final boss. They don't know what the hell the final boss is. They don't know how to go through the progression of the final boss. None of that is progression. So I'm not even going to mince words. It's garbage. Remove that. You're lying. But on that note, there you have it, everyone. The official roadmap for Don't Starve Together in 2023. Please let me know what you think of it all, and let's start speculating, everyone. I'm thinking it's gonna be a pretty damn good year. Thanks for watching, well wishes to all, and I'll see you in the Wilson rework. Bye-bye.